Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here, back with your daily update. Now, we just need to discuss a couple things, some big news. Terrifying news coming out of JP Morgan. Take it for what it's worth, I know. Actually, this article was on Bloomberg. We're going to talk about what the writing on the wall is for the price of oil, and it is not looking good. And it really all comes down to what is going to happen in Europe in the next week or so. We also need to talk about Russia just test fired their new intercontinental ballistic missile, the Sarmat. You know, that Satan II missile that we were talking about a few days ago. We were probably the first to talk about that. And I had a lot of people saying, what are you talking about? This isn't going to happen, yada, yada. Well, sure enough, they test fired their nuclear-capable intercontinental ballistic missile. And when I say nuclear-capable, I'm talking enough nuclear warheads on this thing to take out I think the comparison is a state the size of Texas. I don't know for sure about that, but regardless, it is not good. It's the world's largest and most capable intercontinental ballistic missile. Let's just say ICBM, Nate. And it has multiple re-entry vehicles. And of course, they're flexing right now because of what's going on in Ukraine and because of the threats of Finland to join NATO, the threats of an impending embargo on oil and natural gas that we need to talk about as well. But they're flexing, and I've been warning people. I mean, look, you can lead a person to information, but you can't make them think. Let's put that on a t-shirt, shall we? More to come on the war news front, but this is just a video about this article right here, okay? JP Morgan. Immediate EU ban on Russian oil could send prices to $185 a barrel. You know, I've never considered giving up my Toyota Tundra until the last month. I sincerely cannot stand going to the gas station right now and dumping $200 for a tank of gas. And it just seems like the higher the price goes up, the more my Tundra eats it. Not good. So I've been eyeballing these Teslas lately. Unfortunately, there is no inventory with Tesla. And their stock just shot up today once again. I guess they've been beating expectations, but I really don't. Tesla for me is like the epitome of the last hope for humanity in a way, because it's this nod towards the future, this nod that, technology is going to save us, that we still are pushing the envelope with technology. We're still raising the bar in spite of all that is happening. Let's hope they can keep it up. Let's hope the Gigafactory Texas starts churning out those cyber trucks before the shizzy hits the fizzy, because I'm going to need one to rule the wasteland when it all goes down. Now, oil prices could shoot up to $185 a barrel if the European Union acts to impose a full immediate ban on imports of Russian oil, JP Morgan says. The EU has started tentative discussions on potentially imposing an embargo on Russian oil, but the bloc is still split on the ban on Russian energy imports. The biggest European economy, Germany, continues to resist an immediate embargo for now, saying that an oil ban would plunge Germany and Europe into a deep recession. Germany, Hungary, and Austria, as well as some other EU members, continue to resist an immediate outright ban on Russian oil, although Germany signaled earlier this month that it could end its dependence on Russian oil earlier this year. There appear to be some forces that are giving Germany the nod, some forces that might have several military bases and around 50,000 troops in the country. I wonder who that could be. Yeah, we're going to need you to do those TPS reports and collapse your economy for us to, send a signal to Mr. Vlad the Impaler. Yeah, the pressure is on. It's really going to come down to Germany. If Le Pen doesn't get elected in France, there's talk that, she is obviously a lot more, I don't want to say pro-Russian, but she is less of a hawk when it comes to the whole war effort from a NATO perspective. So there's a good chance that if she was elected, which the polls are showing that there is not a likelihood of that, but we've seen that before, then, this could go the other way, and we might not see these oil embargoes take place. But if we do, then it's not going to be good for the price of everything. The everything bubble is just going to get bigger and bigger. The supply chain woes are going to intensify. The food shortage is going to be much worse than already anticipated. and it's going to be hell in the streets. And this fissure now that we're seeing in the EU may well become more pronounced, and it's going to become more pronounced. You're going to see a big split in the EU, and it's going to create civil unrest. We're going to start to see protests soon in multiple countries. We're already seeing some countries resisting, like Serbia, Hungary. Now, I don't know a whole lot about the European dynamics and relationships, so we're not going to get into that. Let's just continue reading to this article. We know that no matter what happens, we're already in a crap storm, and we already need to keep our eyes and our minds focused on preparedness. If the EU escalates embargoes in the sixth package of sanctions against Russia over its invasion of Ukraine and decides to impose a full immediate embargo on Russian oil, then Brent crude prices could soar by 65%. Imagine what the price of gas is going to be if it goes up to 185. I mean, we're already gouged to the nines because they're charging us, more than the gas, than they paid for the gas. So there's already price fixing and gouging going on. I can't imagine the heights that they're going to take it to with 185 per barrel. There's going to be a lot of people making money. And the thing is, this just makes them all the richer because they have a lot of oil and they're selling it to everybody. And what they can then turn around and say is, hey, China, these guys are selling it for 185 bucks. We'll do it maybe in a bit less in rubles, and we're still making bank, right? We're still making a huge margin. A full immediate ban would cut over 4 million barrels a day of Russian supply, and China and India wouldn't be able to absorb all these volumes very soon. Yeah. You realize that there's 4.5 billion people in that one circle between China, Indonesia, India, 4.5 billion people itching for oil. Don't kid yourself into thinking that our conspicuous consumption of our 900 billion in the West is going to hold a candle to that in the long run. Still, an immediate EU ban is not JP Morgan's base case scenario. Good. Sigh of relief. Is it? Maybe. Maybe not. The investment bank sees 2.1 billion BPD, what is that, billions per something, of Russian supply to Europe cut. If the EU imposes a gradual phase-out ban on Russian oil over several months, as it did with the ban on Russian coal imports adopted in early April, but effective only from August, this would not impact oil prices as much, but it's still going to impact oil prices in a big, big way. An EU embargo on Russian oil imports may be in the works, but drafting and preparing for such a ban would likely take several months, European officials told AP last week. A ban is in the works at the EU level, France's finance minister Bruno Le Maire said today. I hope that in the weeks to come we will convince our European partners to stop importing Russian oil, the minister told Europe. So it comes down to France, what happens in France, okay? The fate of the world lies in Macron's hands. Wasn't he hated when those yellow vest protests came around? It's not looking good, folks. I mean, the Russians are flexing with nuclear missiles. The world's biggest, most badass nuclear missile named Satan II is being flexed upon us, and people are still have their heads in the sand. It's like, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's ever going to happen. Well, let's hope nothing happens, but let's act as if something is going to happen. I just got off the phone with Ron from Atlas Survival Shelters. We had a pretty lengthy conversation. I'm going to upload that video later this week about the state of the bunker building business right now and how the elites are scrambling hand over fist to get bunkers built, and that he has had more run-ins with multi-billionaires in the past month and a half than he has in his entire life. And I mean, how many billionaires do you guys see on a regular basis? I don't think I've ever met one personally, but that's saying something. It's saying that the people who have money in the bank, the people who have those pixels on a screen, which is essentially what it amounts to, are realizing that that don't mean a lick of anything if the system isn't there to uphold it. If it all hits the fan, doesn't matter what you have in the bank. It matters what you have in your possession. That will be 9/10 of the law in the most literal sense. What you have, what you can carry, what you can store, the skills that you have, the people that you know, the connections that you've made, the community that you've built is all that is going to matter when money can no longer buy you anything. So I just wanted to give you guys that update today. It is not looking good. I would say go and get some gas, fill up those jerry cans, because you never know. And if you can save a few bucks in the process, if the price of gas is going to skyrocket 50%, it may not. Let's hope it doesn't. But a lot of people said, Nate, what are you talking about? They're not going to test launch an ICBM named Satan. You know, it is what it is. Some people just will not listen to the death of them. The normalcy bias is strong with these ones. Thanks for watching, folks. Stay safe. Canadian Prepper out.